Welcome to this new series about art block. I'm gonna do a few videos about this because I'm very passionate about this subject, because I have been art blocked for years. It was a very tough time, and I've really thought about these subjects. I've thought about what makes us stuck, about productivity, about project management a ton. So that's what I wanted to talk about in these coming videos. Welcome back to Pencils and Stories. My name is Henrike and I make and teach comics. If you like to make your own comics, then I definitely recommend subscribing. You can do so below and hit that bell button to not miss any updates. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I think art block is and what I think it is not. There is a certain kind of lie that a lot of artists believe about themselves when they're art blocked, and I don't think this idea is helpful at all. So I want to dispute that. So by the end of the video, I hope to have given you some hope. And in the next videos, we're going to talk about how you can figure out what the cause is for your art block, and then in a later video, how to actually beat it. So in this video, I want to talk about what art block is. So what I believe it is a state where you want to create, but for some reason you can't. And an art block can be long or it can be short, but you either have a ton of ideas, but you just cannot get them out on paper, or you have no ideas at all. You feel just really numb about art in general. Some people even hate their own art, or they feel detached from their art. Some people are just completely overwhelmed and they just can't create at all. There's very different forms of art block, but the general consensus is that you want to do art, you want to make a story, you want to make comics, but you can't. And art and creativity are these weird things that to a certain extent you can switch them on, but they also need a lot of space, a kind of freedom, non-pressure, and art is emotionally, physically, and mentally, especially mentally, I find a taxing thing to do. So I think every artist experiences dry spells or art blocks or periods in which art just comes a little harder than normal, and periods where art is it's flowing out of you. I think this is normal, but when the art block is causing you a lot of stress, or if it's like a long period and you really don't know how to get out of it, like sometimes you just need a break, but sometimes you really have no idea what's going on and you feel like you cannot get out of it. That's when it becomes a problem. Speaking about creativity and pressure upon creativity, there's this idea that I see pop up amongst artists when we talk about artist block that I want to speak to, especially in this video. And we're gonna switch over to myself from a few days ago, and she has something she wants to get off her chest. So without further ado, let's dive in. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. I'm super excited about the subject of art block and obstacles, because for 6 to 7 years I have been art blocked and it was terrible. I've seen quite a few videos. It was like this period where a lot of YouTubers who do art on their channel talked about art block, what it is and how to overcome it. And those videos made me mad. I will not name any names. I'm not gonna name any channel names, but I've seen quite a few from different creators. They talk about art block like it's laziness. If there's anything I 100% disagree with, it is that art block is laziness. I'm generalizing now, but the condensed version, how I understood it, was this: art is hard. And sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're overwhelmed, you don't want to do it because you're facing an obstacle and you need to work hard to get through it. Not doing the work makes you lazy. That's kind of the thing they said. I get where they're coming from. I really do. I also got the idea that these people experience short art blocks. They experience moments of not feeling like it, feeling uninspired, and then having trouble having to come up with something. We all have those periods. Every single artist does. But even then, I don't think it makes you lazy, because I think laziness is a very different thing. Also, telling yourself that you are lazy kind of puts this verdict on you that's really hard to change. Like, how are you going to change from a non-lazy person into a lazy person? It makes no sense. But also, why I absolutely 100% do not agree with this is because A lazy person is something else entirely. Like, they are the people that if you're drawing in a cafe, like I do this a lot. I draw in a cafe, I sit there, I draw, and then a person comes up to you and they go, "Ooh, your drawing, it's so pretty. I wish I could draw." And then it depends on how I'm feeling. But sometimes I'm there, I'm like, "Oh, that's so awesome, you know. What would you like to draw?" Or I even ask like, "Ooh, but well, how much do you practice?" I literally ask people this because I know what's behind that question sometimes of like, I wish I could draw. It pushes my buttons a little because I believe everybody can draw. If you really wanted to, you could draw. You explain to people how drawing works because that's what's lacking. That's why a lot of people think it's a talent and not a skill, is because they are not taught. But I digress. What I mean with the whole people in the cafe thing is that those people, what they're truly saying is not that they wish they could draw, but they wish they could draw. They don't want to put in the work of learning how to draw. Why? It's not bad. Why? It's because they don't like it enough. It's with me with playing the flute. Like, I've played the flute for a long time. I just don't like it enough to get better at it. So I stopped because I was like, I can better put this time in my drawing. I love music, but for example, I love singing way more than I love playing the flute. So I stopped. And that's what a lot of people have that with drawing. They stop drawing because they don't like it enough to be really bad at it for a while, because eventually you're going to see that you're not that great at it maybe. And then you need to improve and practice and need to do something about that. And a lot of people just don't want that. And that's totally fine. You know, I'm not here to diss on people who talk to me and say like, I wish I could draw. Of course you wish you could draw. I wish I could dance, but I can't. And it's very hard for me to learn. I like it enough to dance a little, but I don't like it enough that I'm dancing every single day. So I will never be a super great dancer. That's my choice, you know. It's okay. It's okay if you're just having fun with drawing and just doodling every now and then in your bullet journal, or you do some abstract painting, you know, and you just get it out, but you're not interested in composition. You're not interested in improving your color understanding. Like, that's fine. Just go and have fun. But if we're talking about laziness, when it comes to drawing, they are lazy. It's not bad, but they don't care about it that much. And that is my point with this. A lazy person doesn't care. They don't like drawing enough to be really bad at it for a while. They don't enjoy the act of improving on it. They just want it as a skill that they can do. They want the skill, not the practice towards the skill. That is laziness, but if it helps you make the right choices in life, it's good. Go with that. Do something else. Do something you love. To you, artist, comic creator, I want to ask you, if you have any experience with art block, is this how you feel about art? My bet is that it's not. Because art block, true art block, the unlazy kind of art block feels very different. I have been art blocked for 6 to 7 years, and those were some of the most miserable years of my life. And that's my point. When you're truly art blocked, if it's a short or a long block, I don't care. It's not that you want a skill and you don't want to work for it. All you do is want to draw. You want to do it. You're not lazy. You want to do it. But for some weird reason, you can't. That is art block. That's an obstacle. That is something standing in the way of what you want, which is drawing, improving, making a comic, making a story, writing, whatever it is. Here's how art block really feels. It can make you feel miserable. It can make you feel frustrated. It can make you feel like a failure. It can make you feel angry. It can make you feel sad. It can make you feel despair. It can make you feel depleted. Art block isn't laziness. My point with this is if you're experiencing art block, and I don't care if it's long or short. I experienced a very long art block, but last year I had art block. Why? Because I was having a tough time. I was having all kinds of personal problems. I was having family problems, money problems, health problems. I had all the problems. I couldn't create. I cannot be creative when I'm not feeling good, when I'm in that headspace. And that's my point. If there's not any physical reason for your art block, because sometimes the reason is very clear. Like last year it was very clear. I also knew that it would pass because I would feel better again. Like I needed to just focus on getting myself in a better place. In those 67 years, there were actually very clear reasons, but I didn't know them at the time. There were deeper reasons and I needed to figure them out. But in the case of last year, it was a very clear reason. So I want to talk about the deeper underlying problems that create the art block in these videos. But sometimes there's a very clear reason, and those can either be physical, because you're either ill or you overworked yourself. That can suck the joy out of drawing. Or it's a kind of like more a mental problem when you're not in a good space personally. You know, you're having a bad time at work or in your family and stuff. You don't have the brain space to be creative when your brain is occupied with other stuff, problems, or even mental illness. Those are very clear reasons why creating is hard for you. If it's not any of these things, then usually I believe most of the time it's one of only two problems. You're either afraid of something or you're overwhelmed. So it's fear or overwhelm. And those two things can hold you back a ton. I do want to give you the example of my story with art block because it was such a severe period, and it really drove home for me that idea of like, I am not lazy, because I thought I was lazy at that time. And that only made me stuck more. You know, it doesn't help you to think that. Please let that idea just go. Let it go right now. You're not lazy. If you feel miserable, you want to be creating art, you are not lazy. You are just not lazy, but there's something else going on and we need to figure out what it is. So stay tuned for the next videos in which I will share with you my story with art block, how I got out of it, and then I'll make a video about how to figure out what the cause is for your art block, what kind of questions to ask yourself, and then is there an actual cure for art block, and how can you get out of it? And I hope that this video gave you some reassurance that no, you're not lazy. I don't believe that. And yes, if I can get out of my art block because I was so blocked, then you can too. And I really, really, really hope that after this video you believe that, and that you don't give up, and that you keep fighting and keep digging, and I'm sure it can come back to you, but it might require some tough decisions or some digging. But we're gonna go into that in the next videos. So have you ever been art blocked? If yes, how did it feel for you? And what did you think at that time about yourself and about your art? And if you got out of it, how did you do it? I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the comments below. And if you've seen this and you thought, yes, I'm ready to get started, I'm almost out of art block, and I do want some tips how to work on my own personal project, how to start my project, how to continue, how to optimize my process, and how to finish well, then I definitely recommend my ebook, My 10 Biggest Tips for Personal Projects. And it is a free gift for anybody who subscribes to my email list. So if you want a free ebook, you can subscribe in the link that's in the description. It will take you to a page where you can leave your email address and the ebook will be sent to you right away. And these tips really help me get some of the overwhelm out of the way, and they partially actually help me get out of my art block. So there might be some good tips for you that you can implement right away so that you can make working on your project just a little bit easier. So for now, I want to thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for next week. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of these videos. And please share this video with a friend who you think needs to hear this. See you next week and have a great day.